to the Coach's Couch here at Inspired Coach Podcast. Something a little different for you today. An experience that I have had recently as a coach that I thought would be helpful to share with all of you who are either coaches already or potentially thinking about becoming one. And I hope that this sharing with you helps to primarily improve your coaching skills. And, or if not a coach yet, gives you something to really think about for the potential future of how you may go about coaching clients in certain situations. So the thing that I want to talk to you about today is the power of doing nothing as a coach. Or if not actually nothing, then a lot less than you may think you might need to do to really be serving a client well. And the best way that I know how to talk about this is to share with you a client experience. And I'm not going to identify this client. I'm going to give her the made-up name of Anna. And it's important for me to let you know that I sought Anna's permission before sharing this story ahead with you all. And she has, of course, given that permission. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sharing this with you. So even though she is completely de-identified, it's still important for me to let you know that permission has been granted for me to share this experience with you as a client of mine. Now, a former client of mine. Our work together has finished. It will be finished by the time you are listening to this episode. So Anna and I had a number of sessions already in our coaching and mentoring series, and everything was going really well with that. And she was making amazing progress towards the things that she was wanting to do. And we were both engaged. We were engaged in the usual ways that coaches and clients in the modern world now usually are. And that is via, of course, online sessions, live at the same time, and email, and also voice note. So we were using WhatsApp. That was her preferred voice note platform to communicate with me between sessions to help her move forward with her goals and what it was that she was working on. And so about halfway through our series, late one morning, it came in just after 11 a.m. and the time of this is important. So I'm being specific in sharing that with you because it's important. I received a almost 3-minute voice note from Anna, and she was incredibly upset. She was crying. There were tears. There was distress in her voice. And in the voice note, she explained to me that she had started a group experience that morning. It was the first time that this group that she had paid to be a part of had gathered online, and they were together for an hour. And she explained to me in the voice note a variety of different things through her tears and through her distress. And those things included the fact that she felt incredibly out of her depth, that she found herself almost instantly comparing herself to the other people who were a part of the group and the experience, and feeling as though she didn't measure up. She said that she felt that something she had said in the group had maybe been misinterpreted, and that she felt very silly and inarticulate and possibly misunderstood in some ways, and that she'd left everyone with a seemingly bad or wrong impression about her. And overall, she just said that I can't believe this. I feel terrible. I want out. And then very quickly at the end, she said, Julie, please, can you give me some words about this? Can you give me some of your thoughts? And when I say that she was distressed, I mean really distressed. She was not just a little bit distressed. She was really upset. And I knew that she had been going into this experience, and I knew from the timing of the voice note that I received that it was being sent just after 11 a.m., which was very soon after that group experience would have finished. So within less than 10 minutes, she had reached out to me via voice notes. It was very quick, very instant reach out for help. Now, I listened to this voice note for the first time at about 12:30 that day. Now, I don't necessarily listen to my clients' voice notes within that period of time. It depends upon many different things, as I'm sure it does for you with your clients, or will with your clients in the future as well. I don't necessarily listen to voice notes instantly because I may have many, many other things that I'm doing, and it possibly may be not even until the next day that I get to listen to something. But in this particular instance, I was able to listen to what she'd sent me quite quickly. And when I was listening to it and hearing her distress as somebody that I care about, I was, of course, upset for her and feeling empathy towards her for how she was feeling at that time. And I also then, as her coach and mentor, had a variety of different things begin to instantly swirl in my head. And so let me share some of those things with you, specifically about what to do about the fact that she was so upset. There was a part of me that wanted to instantly voice note her back and say, I'm so sorry that you're feeling this way. This is terrible. Okay, let's get down to it and see what we're going to do about this, etc. In other words, even as a 20+ year experienced coach, I wanted to move into fix it mode really fast. She was distressed. She was upset. I didn't want that for her. However, in the deeper part of my skill and space holding and mindfulness, I knew that I could also, of course, experience deep empathy for Anna, but without having to go into anything like that mode at all. And that didn't make me a bad person or an unfeeling coach or anything like that, because I didn't instantly want to go in and, wipe away the tears and, quote unquote, try to fix this situation for her, and or even coach and work with her to try and fix this situation. Because ultimately, here's the question: was there actually anything to fix? Despite her tears, despite her upset, despite the experience, was there anything to fix? Good question to think about and ask ourselves. And so I listened to the voice note again which is something that I often do with clients. I often listen to things that they send me, particularly if it's detailed or long or emotive in some way, twice, just to make sure that I've really picked up and are clear on what it is that's being said and shared. So I listened to it again, this time really in a space of, okay, Julie, just come to yourself, take a deep breath, really, really settle here around what may be the best way for you to access your deepest coaching wisdom here around what it is that is going to be the best thing that you know to do to support Anna in this moment. So I listened to the message again, and instantly my soul voice and my intuition, as I gave it space to come forth from slowing down and getting really present, began to come to me and was really clear. It gave me lots of ideas. And this is 100% something that you can do and access in your coaching in any instances as well. But you have to slow down and you have to really take stock for that to come through. And I realized that the first thing that really came to me was, don't reply back really fast, urgently, or quickly, Julie. That's what really came to me. Because all you're doing, if you do that, is feeding into Anna's urgency-like feelings at this point in time. But there's nothing urgent that is actually happening here. However, when we either are ourselves or we see someone else in distress, that is instantly what we can think. It's because we as human beings are often uncomfortable with people's uncomfortableness, their distress, their tears. Because of our discomfort with that, we can want to mop and clean that up quickly, or at least get on to things quickly. And the first thing that came to me was, don't feed into this perceived level of urgency. Anna is okay. There isn't anything dire or hugely urgent happening here. You do not need to reply to her instantly to feed into that, or to have her somehow or another think that you're not being responsive to her in some way. The next thing that came to me was that it didn't feel like a good idea to actually go back to her in response via voice. That instead, to help settle things a little, that it felt wise to me to go back to her instead on WhatsApp with a text message, a written message, rather than a voice one. And I think you'll probably understand why I was thinking that when I share with you what it is that I sent back to her. So I did message her back in the mid of that afternoon, so about 3 p.m. So this is now going on about 4 hours, half a day after Anna had initially reached out to me with the voice note. And I wrote in a text message the following back to her. I said to her, and I'm not going to read it out word for word. This isn't because that's just too confidential in relation to this, but an abridged version of it. Essentially, I said to her, thank you for reaching out and letting me know this. I would like to suggest to you that my thoughts or reflections for you are not necessarily the best thing that you need right now. And given that you feel upset about this, I would love to encourage you to please tend to yourself. Think about some lovely things that you can do for yourself for the rest of the day or the evening that really feel nourishing for you, and sleep on this and see how you're feeling about it tomorrow morning when there is some distance between you and how you feel about the group that you were a part of this morning. And then let's reconnect tomorrow and talk about it more then. So that's essentially what I sent back to her, because even though she was directly asking me for my reflections and thoughts, what I truly believed that she needed at that time was simply more time and some distance to be able to process the fact that she was having a direct ego and inner critic flare about being a part of that experience and what she was assuming and perceiving other people were thinking about her, and also just her own feelings and emotions about how she had shown up there and what it had prompted inside her. And that was the thing that really felt to me like it was the best thing for Anna at that time. In other words, it was for me to do nothing other than to go back and essentially say, look after yourself. I see you, I feel you. Sleep on it, and let's reconnect tomorrow. I sent the message through, and it did not get any response. I had seen that she had seen it, but it didn't get a heart. It didn't get a reply. By the end of the day, still nothing had come through. There was no response from Anna about that. Now, this is where it can be and could be very easy as a coach and a space holder where you'd go, oh no, no response. I've upset her. I've not given her what she's wanted. I've let my client down. She's reached out to me at a time needing help and support, and I've been a bitch, I haven't given it to her. Easy thoughts for us to potentially start having, rattling around in our mind. And yeah, there was a part of it. I didn't go fully in that direction for myself, but there was a part of me that was like, no, I did have a little wonder. It was like, okay, no response. I wonder if she's been okay with that suggestion or not. I can't assume that she has or she hasn't. It's just received no response. But I think we all know that sometimes when we don't get a response, our own egos and inner critics and mind can take us in directions that assume the worst. So we leap into the next day. And I was going to give Anna until early afternoon that day, not too much longer after midday. I'd decided to, if she had not responded to me and reached out via voice note, I was going to voice message her and say, hey, how you doing today? How are you feeling today about the group, what happened, etc. Except I got a voice note from her late that morning again, around about 11ish, the same time, about something entirely different that we were working on together. She let me know that there had been movement forward in a particular goal that she was working on, and that she now had a further question for me. Could I please guide her in relation to the answer to that direct question? It was a very strategic business focused question, a consultative type one that I was able to give her the answer to. There was no mention at all about how she was feeling, about the group, about the experience. Nothing. Completely different altogether. So I went back to her later that day and said, of course, as an encouraging coach does, well done. That's a great achievement. You're moving forward with this brilliantly. And here's that resource that you mentioned that you wanted to know about. This is how to be able to get access to that. I did think about asking her about what she had voice noted me about the day before, but I thought to myself, there's a reason that she is not raising this. And so I am just going to let it there. Her tone and manner and the feel that I had from the voice note that she sent me about the different topic altogether was perfectly fine. It was usual. There was nothing about it that was different to the way that she had engaged with me ever before. So I knew, or at least I felt that I knew fairly significantly and strongly within myself, that she was not upset with me, that she wasn't, and also that she was not okay herself, because clearly something had shifted in her state, or indeed maybe many things had shifted in her state, and she was now in a place where she was moving on with other things. And so I didn't raise it. 2 days later, this is obviously between live sessions, she still had not raised the issue with that group experience again. And that's when I felt to myself that it was the right thing for me as the coach to then raise it, because it was too big of a thing for Anna to have brought to me, and then me suggesting that and requesting thoughts and reflections, and then me feeding back to her, I think you just need time with you and a good sleep and all of those kinds of things to sleep on this and see how you're feeling the next day, for it to then not be discussed ever again. It was 100% relevant for me to raise it with her. And so 2 days after the second voice message that I got about the different topic from her, I sent her a voice note. It wasn't very long. And I just said, hey, I'm just checking in about that voice note that you sent me post the group a few days ago now, earlier in the week, where you were feeling really upset. And I came back and I suggested that you sleep on it, tend to you, care for you, and then see how you felt and what may be best with that moving forward. How are you feeling now? Let me know. And Anna came back to me and she was really honest. And this is one of the things that I love about her. And indeed, all my clients, I hope they are honest with me, and I hope your clients are honest with you too. And she came back and she said, you know what, Julie, I want to be really honest with you and say, when I first got that message back from you, I was a little bit disappointed. In that moment, on the same day that had happened, I just really wanted you to soothe me, were the words that she used. She said, I wanted you to soothe me. I wanted you to help me untangle what had happened. However, with a number of days reflection now further on, I've realized that that was me outsourcing something that I needed to learn to do for myself in that moment. I now know that a number of days later, and she said this was helped enormously by the fact that the following day after the group, the coach who was leading that group sent a brilliant email that said, I know sometimes when groups begin, it can be easy to compare ourselves to others, or you can think you're not as good as other people, or you may be somehow or another behind or less than, or that a variety of different things that can make you feel wobbly at the start of an experience. And she said it was just what I needed to read to help me to understand that I'm not inarticulate, I'm not less than anyone else there, I'm completely okay. I now also realize in looking back that that morning prior to the group had been a pretty average one for me. My 3-year-old was having a really bad morning. There had been tantrums, there had been tears, difficult childcare drop-off. I had a headache. I wasn't feeling my best. And she said, with hindsight, I've been able to piece together all of those things that were impacting how I felt going into that group, which was not anyone's fault, not anything that could be blamed on anyone or anything like that. And then receiving that email, and then also reflecting on what you guided me and suggested that I do, which was just have a damn good sleep, tend to myself, which she said I did that night. Just a late cup of tea, she said, was all it did. She said, once I popped my child to bed, I just took some time out to read the fiction book that I hadn't picked up. I'd been halfway through in weeks and weeks, and I made myself a cup of tea and I sat down and I read some of that book before going to bed to just have a little bit of me time. And she said, and by the time I woke up the following morning and then read that email, I felt completely different. And she said, honestly, I had this sense and feeling of, come on, girl, get on with it. You don't have time as a part of this group experience to be turning on yourself in that way. And so get on with things. Julie is your coach here. Reach out to her and let her know about that fantastic result that's come through, and ask her that question that you need to ask to get that resource for next steps. So, great voice note to get. And I went back to Anna and I said, yay you. Well done. And thank you for being honest with me, because it was okay for you in that moment to be disappointed about my response to you. That's okay. And for you to now have taken the time, literally time, to self-reflect and understand that that truly was me being in the best service that I felt I possibly could be for you at that time, that a series of things, most of all you and your own self-work, has now allowed you to reach this particular point where you're no longer distressed or upset. You've been able to reframe this for yourself, put it into perspective, understand that toddler tanties and headaches and things like that can deeply impact how we show up, in a moment, and how we feel and in an experience. And I'm so glad for you, because you're none of those things that your inner critic was attempting to jab at you at that time. And on we went from there in the rest of our series. So why do I share this story with you, this experience with you? Because sometimes, as caring human beings, of which I believe all coaches, all heart-centered coaches in particular are, we can convince ourselves that unless we are doing enormous amounts for our clients, and unless we are bending over backwards for them, unless we are giving them everything that they ask for, unless we are really, really in a mode where we are either fixing or attempting to fix things for them, whether they may be in distress or not, that somehow or another our own egos and our own inner critics can convince us that we are not coaching well, that we are not a good coach, and we are not in deep service to our clients. And it's going to be the case very rarely that that would be the truth. That's what I believe, that it would be rare that that would be the case, because if you're even thinking about those things, that tells me that you are the type of coach and the type of person that is wanting to be in deep service and trying to search and find ways for that to be meaningful for you and your clients. However, it can be an enormous trap. And what can end up happening is that in our desire to be liked, for our clients to think we are good, that they are getting value from working with us, that we are being responsive to them, that we are worth the money, all of those kinds of things, we can end up overgiving. We can end up overdoing, we can end up overstepping, and we can end up in a fixing mode, all because of stuff that we need to work through for ourselves. Because it takes courage to not do anything, or slow a process down, or say no, or suggest to a client potentially another course of action other than the one they are wanting from you. And I guess this story with Anna, this real life experience with her, I want to be able to show you that sometimes doing nothing or slowing things down and suggesting something else is very potent and can be very, very powerful. And I'm not necessarily saying, of course, that this is going to be the way that it would brilliantly turn out for every client where this might arise for you in some way. I just simply wanted to share this client journey and story and example with you as something for you to learn from, hopefully, that even when our clients feel distressed, upset, uncomfortable, our desire to want to race in and fix and soothe and sort it is not the best thing to do. And in fact, it can disempower a client from learning how to work through something themselves with even just a little more time and a little more grace. It's not lost on me at all that if I had not approached this in the way that I did with Anna, that she may not have been able to have had that life and business experience where she learned how to move through and walk through that discomfort on her own. This means that her experience of our coaching together, I hope to be something that instead of me doing that for her, or instead of you doing that for your client, that she now knows she can do for herself. That is a courage marker for her in life and business, and means that she can learn from and do it again and again and again, way, way beyond our work together. Thank you for being with me here today on the Coach's Couch.